இதான் இது மட்டும்தான்.
Paneerna Milky Mist. Only Milky Mist.
Shri Arun Nehru.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for the opportunity. We are in a very critical point in the growth of this country, madam. For that, I think the structural changes started from 91 onwards. The great stalwarts who were able to get our country going. I thank them first. I salute them first. But today, we are in the very important topic of connectivity through airfares, through air connectivity and its related infrastructure. I will put my points across in 10 basic segments, madam. The first important is the issues in the last 10 years has actually come to us in the last 2 weeks. All of us have been invariably, inconvenienced because of those policies which had happened here. The policies were very well intentioned, good intention. The intention was to have very low fares and get more people on board, get people from point A to point B faster. Now, what had happened is there was a market concentration. Now, there are lot of members have read about market concentrations and its risk. Now, market concentration is risk irrespective of its being a capitalist or a socialist society. Now, India's air market is dominated by two players. And unfortunately, some of the policies that helped us get this connectivity to actually have various tags, the largest number of aircraft orders, the largest number of people getting airborne, the largest number of growth in terms of air traffic. And we have got good numbers. We've got good numbers to show this world. But where has this got us to? The leading carrier has in 60% of the routes, that's the only carrier. So imagine if you're the only carrier, the pricing power or the domination power in terms of seat availability or the slot timings, that's one segment on the soft part. On the hard part, the hard, landing part, where the airport operator, in spite of spending large amounts of money, is actually left to deal with only one airport operator. Hence, there is a lot of inefficiencies which actually seep finally into customer service, in terms of pricing power to the consumers, and in terms of the overall airport infrastructure that is available in our country. Now, the second point, which the government actually did it right. 2 years ago, they published the flight safety rules for air crew, for the support crew, and the flight rotation, which is actually very well intentioned, a good cause. And it was happened 2 years ago. Now, there are a number of reminders, I believe, that I've read in the newspapers that, the Honorable Minister, along with the department, have taken a lot of efforts to remind the airlines to actually get ready for that implementation. Now, in the last week or so, in the last 3 weeks, ma'am, we have seen that the carriers actually didn't care even a bit about these rules coming into impact. And what they did was even more atrocious. They had invariably said no to those rules, and they had large-scale cancellation in order to force or have an impact or have a feel of forcing the government had to actually reverse those rules. The government did not reverse the rules, but what had happened was it relaxed the rules for some time so that they can cope up back again. Now, we have two things here, madam. We had a government that clearly told all the operators, gave enough time, but where the operators lax, and actually the government had to go back even for 2 months. Even if it's 2 months, it's 2 months. Duly elected government, which had enough time, was not, I think they subverted the power of the government and its people because of the dominant power. So I want the government to note that just by creating efficiency of scale can actually come as bite back in terms of policy implementation and in terms of pricing power. So your intention to actually give better pricing to the consumers is actually coming to haunt you in terms of giving, preferential to these market powers. Now, one of the side effects of such powers is that the regulatory framework has wide regulatory framework. I mean, we've got great people manning the airport authority, manning, the research departments of air traffic controls. Because of such market power that the players have, the regulatory environment actually has turned reactive. In the last 5 years, or even take 6 years, ma'am, the department had to constantly monitor airfares. Why is the department supposed to monitor airfares? It was not the policy of the government. The policy of the government is very clear. They want market to determine the prices. And look at what determining the prices of the market has taken us to. It has, time and again, the department has been forced to be reactive, asking the airlines to cap prices, giving out regular orders. What that happens is this happens into a regulatory creep. So they can't form a proper regulation in terms of a proper time. And every year they have to change rules because of the market participants. Now, the sub effect of actually having scale is actually weak competition. Now, US, the most capitalist state, has 4 airlines, madam. You have the market share ranging from 35% to 22%, and there are 4 airlines. So what this gives us is there's enough competition, there's enough scale, and it sticks to market, the decision of the government to stick to market and actually get the best prices for the consumer. So I hope the government realizes that giving scale, I think in a regulated manner, which actually help rather than just giving a total free hand to the market where it's bound to abuse. And we have seen this in the last 3 weeks, although well-intentioned. Your intention was to keep prices low, but what had happened is that the market carriers actually tweaked it. I will also give you a flagship example of a flagship program, which is actually misused by the operators. The Udan scheme, which is a very good scheme. They wanted to connect far-flung areas. That's the principal aim of the scheme, madam. Now, take my case, take in Tamil Nadu. You have ATRs operating continuously. We have about 7 services to each of the cities regularly every hour. Now, if you take the break-even, Udan gives a lot of incentives for the operators to operate the ATR, the turboprops, the smaller aircrafts. Now, the break-even point, because of the incentives of the government, is if the aircraft operator fills out 50 seats, it's break-even. So about 80 seats, 30 seats is profitable. Now, same aircraft, if they're able to use the larger aircraft, the jet engines, the break-even points out of the total 186 seats comes to approximately 110 seats, madam. So you see the unfair situation created to the consumer, where he has to use a turboprop but still be profitable, where the government intention was to connect to far-flung areas. So the request is, please give the Udan scheme, focus it to far-flung areas in the northeast, where they can actually get air service and pricing, and not the well-connected markets, where the participant used the scheme to connect only well-connected markets and actually gouge pricing. And jet engine prices are actually cheaper than the turboprop, madam. Now, a lot of the users, a lot of the members would have traveled to the last mile using turboprop. And, it's for the, through you, madam, I asked the department to actually check on the effectiveness of the Udan scheme on the non-commercial routes, which they actually wanted to implement. Now, the 5th point that I want to make here is infrastructure development. For some other reason, for whatever reason, all the policies have a very high entry point, madam. Of course, the government wants proper airport operator, well-funded airport operator who can actually tap the global markets. I think that has led to a
honorable member, just give me.
இதான் இது மட்டும்தான்
Panina Milky Mist. Only Milky Mist.
Minnambalam.com தமிழின் முதல் மொபைல் பத்திரிகை.